Hello dear students of the 6th elementary grade, and welcome to a new episode of our program. This is our weekly episode of science, and on this episode we'll be discussing and explaining the last lesson of this semester, lesson 2, unit 4, the locomotory system, and we'll be receiving your phone calls throughout the episode on our phone number 257562187. The number will appear on the screen, so if you've got any questions, do give us a call. Let me first welcome our guest teacher, Mr. Nader Nassim, our teacher of science. Hello, Mr. Nader, and welcome to the program.
Hello, thank you.
You look happy today.
Yeah, because it's the last lesson.
Yeah, it is the last lesson. I hope we will be able to finish it by the end of this episode, because later on our next episodes, we'll be starting reviewing everything you've had during this term. All right, Mr. Nader, we're talking here about the locomotory system. So first of all, what is meant by the locomotory system?
Okay, locomotory system is a system which is responsible for movement or motion of the body. And this system is not a system only. It consists of two systems, which is the muscular system, الجهاز العضلي, muscular system, and also the skeletal system, or the skeleton, as we know. الجهاز الهيكلي أو الهيكل العظمي. Okay?
We'll start, of course, with the skeletal system.
Yeah, we start with the skeletal system, and after we start, before we start with the skeletal system, I want to know what's meant by motion or what's meant by movement. I want to explain what's meant by movement. Okay, Mr. Yasser?
Yeah.
Look here. Movement is the ability of the body to change its position from place to place. Again, movement, it's a very easy definition, is the ability of the organism to change its position from place to place. Movement هي قدرة الكائن الحي إنه يغير مكانه من مكان لمكان أو يغير موقعه من مكان لمكان. Okay, again, movement is the ability of the organism to change its position from place to place. So now, I want to ask you, my dear students, why man or why the living organism move? I think he move from place to place, seeking for benefits such as seeking for food, seeking for learning, and anything he wants to do.
Yeah.
Okay?
Or running away.
Or running away from a harm.
Yeah.
Okay? So we have two main reasons for movement. They are seeking for benefits or away from a harm. يبقى الإنسان بيتحرك طلبا للمنفعة أو هربا من الضرر. Okay? So again, movement occurs, or man or living organism move from place to place. Why? Or give reason. Seeking for benefit or away from a harm. Seeking for benefits or away from a harm. طلبا للمنفعة أو هربا من الأضرار. So now, why or how can movement happen? إزاي تحصل الحركة? By the participation of many systems, as we will study now. So we can say that movement occur with the integration and participation of three systems which are the nervous system. Nervous system, I think we have studied, is the main control system in our body. It controls all the processes, ideas, emotions, and everything inside and outside the body, such as the movement today. And also we have two systems today, which are skeletal system, الجهاز الهيكلي, skeletal system, and muscular system, الجهاز العضلي. So movement occur by the participation and the integration. تحصل الحركة بتكامل أو تنسيق من ثلاث أجهزة هما nervous system, skeletal system, and muscular system. So we can say that movement occur by the help of three systems, which are skeletal system. Skeletal system we have studied, or we will study it now today, and muscular system, and also the controlling of the nervous system. We have studied all about the nervous system the last two episodes. درسنا في حلقتين قبل كده all the things related to nervous system. So today we'll study skeletal system and muscular system. Okay, Mr. Yasser?
Yeah.
Okay, so today we will study skeletal system and muscular system. So now, what's meant by, or what is the function, or what are the components of the skeletal system? I think we can say that locomotory system consists of two main systems, which are skeletal system, الجهاز الهيكلي, and muscular system, الجهاز العضلي. So now, skeletal system consists of how many parts? Skeletal system أو الجهاز الهيكلي أو الهيكل العظمي consists of two main parts or two main systems, which are axial skeleton and appendicular skeleton. Axial skeleton هنسميه الهيكل المحوري appendicular skeleton الهيكل الطرفي أو الأطراف. The four limbs that we have. Again, skeletal system consists of two main parts which are axial skeleton and appendicular skeleton. Again, axial skeleton الهيكل المحوري and appendicular skeleton. So now, what are the components of the axial skeleton? I think the axial skeleton as we see now in the picture في صورة مهمة قوي للskeleton consists of the skull as we see, the rib cage and the vertebral column. Again, the skull, rib cage and the vertebral column, they are the structures or the components of the axial skeleton. يبقى الهيكل المحوري بيكون من 3 parts 3 أجزاء هما skull, rib cage and vertebral column. Skull, rib cage and vertebral column. Now we'll study each one of them in details. Okay? So now we can say that axial skeleton consists of 3 parts which are the skull, the backbone and the rib cage. Again, we said that skeletal system consists of 2 main parts which are axial skeleton الهيكل المحوري and appendicular skeleton. Axial consists of 3 parts which are skull الجمجمة backbone العمود الفقري أو العمود الفقري which is called in another name vertebral column. ممكن كمان أسميه vertebral column. يبقى backbone and vertebral column are both names of the backbone. Rib cage القفص الصدري. So we have 3 parts in the axial skeleton which are skull, backbone and rib cage. Skull, backbone and rib cage. Okay? So now we have the skull. Look here, Mr. Yasser.
Yeah.
I think it's you can be afraid from this. Okay?
No, I'm not.
You aren't afraid?
No.
Okay, I'm afraid. Okay, this is the skull. As we can see, the skull contains, as we can see, cavities. For what? Cavities for the eyes, the nose and the ears. Again, السكال تحتوي على تجاويف فيها cavities عشان ears, nose and the eyes. Again, skull contains cavities. Cavities for what? For eyes, ears and the nose. And we know that from our previous lesson about nervous system, the skull main function is to protect the very important organ of the nervous system, which is called what, Mr. Yasser?
The skull protects the brain.
The brain, yeah. So again, the skull protects the most important organ in your body, which is the brain. The skull بتحمي أهم جزء في جسمنا وفي حياتنا كلنا هو البرين أو زي ما سميناه مع بعض الجهاز المخي. مش بحب قوي تسمية المخ، مش صح قوي. المخ هو cerebrum بس. Okay? So again, the skull protects the brain. الجمجمة بتحمي البرين أو الجهاز المخي أو المخ زي ما اتفقنا قبل كده. So now we have studied that the axial skeleton consists of 3 main parts which are the skull, the backbone and the vertebral column. So now let's study the skull in details. Skull, as we know, is a bony box. هي علبة عظمية. Contains cavities. تحتوي على تجاويف for eyes, ears and nose. Again, skull is a bony box. Contain cavities for eyes, ears and nose. Again, skull is a bony box. Contain cavities for eyes, ears and nose. So again, the function of the skull. What is the function of the skull? We have studied that the skull protects the brain. The brain is the most important organ in the nervous system. And I think that the brain is the most important organ in our body.
Yeah.
You agree with me, Mr. Yasser?
Well, there are also other important organs like the heart, for example.
But I think a brain is most important than or is more important than the heart.
You know, if something goes wrong with your brain, you can stay alive. But if it's with your heart,
you will die.
Yeah.
So the brain operates the heart, but not vice versa.
Yeah.
The brain هو اللي بيشغل all the systems.
Operates all organs.
All organs. So if the brain stop, you will die. But if the heart stop, you may be alive. If we can reoperate the heart again. نقدر نشغل الهارت مرة تانية. If we can by nervous shock, by electric shock.
Yeah.
Okay, as you see in
you can get an artificial heart, but you cannot get an artificial brain.
No, we have not artificial brain in medicine up till now.
Yeah.
So the brain, I think that is the most important organ in your body and in your life because there is no spare parts for the brain. We have no spare parts for the brain. Okay?
Yeah.
You agree with me with that. So again, the skull.
And you know, all spare parts, because they are artificial, they do not function the same way as the original parts.
Yeah, they don't function properly as the original part. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, the skull is a very important organ or a very important bony box that protects the most important organ, that is the brain.
Okay. Are you ready with a question for Hashim
Okay.
on the phone?
Okay.
Hello,
Hello, Hashim. How are you doing?
I'm fine.
Okay, so you want to be asked, of course, as usual.
Yes,
Okay. What are we doing now? What are we studying? Do you know?
science,
Okay, what part? Which lesson?
locomotory system.
Okay, so Mr. Neder, do you have a question for
Yeah,
him
I have many
on
questions.
this part?
On this part? Okay,
Yeah.
Hashim, before I ask you, did you study the skeletal system?
Yes,
Yes, you studied the skeletal system? Okay,
Yes.
Hashim, what are the components of the skeletal system? What are the components of the skeletal system? Axial,
appendicular.
axial skeleton and appendicular skeleton. Yes, Hashim. Okay, so the axial skeleton consists of what? Axial skeleton consists of what?
Skeleton,
Yeah, axial skeleton or axial skeleton consists of how many parts? And what are they?
I started
Again, Hashim, axial skeleton or axial skeleton consists of how many parts? الجهاز
3 parts.
3 parts. What are they? What are they?
Skull, backbone,
backbone,
rib cage.
rib cage. So how many vertebrae are there in backbone, Hashim?
12.
How many vertebra? How many vertebra, not ribs? I said
30,
how?
30.
And how many ribs do we have, Hashim, in the rib cage?
12.
12 what?
12 cartilage.
No, 12 is wrong. We can say that 12 ribs, or sorry, 12 pairs of ribs. 12 pairs, 12 زوج من الضلوع. Or 24 pairs, or 24 ribs, sorry. Okay, Hashim?
Okay.
We can say
Okay.
we have 12 pairs of ribs or 24 ribs. Okay?
Okay.
Hashim,
Okay.
I want to ask you a question now. How many bones do you use when you walk?
What?
How many bones do you use when you walk? When you walk?
3.
3? Okay, let's ask Mr. Neder.
No, there are more than 3.
256.
206? Yeah, yes, Hashim.
Okay.
You use all your bones when you walk. Okay? You use I think 200 muscles and all your bones when you walk. Okay?
Okay, thank you, Hashim, very much. Hashim from Cairo. So let's get back to
Okay.
our lesson.
Okay, we said that the axial skeleton consists of three main parts, which are the skull, and you have studied it. It protects the brain. It's a bony box. Also, it consists of the backbone and the rib cage. So now let's move to the backbone. Let's move to the backbone or the vertebral column. I think the backbone or the vertebral column is a very important bone, or is a very important collection of bone. هو مجموعة عظام مهمة جدا at the back area of your back, في المنطقة الخلفية للظهر. The backbone consists of, as we know, 33 vertebrae, and I have a very important picture for this organ. Look here, Mr. Yasser. I have the backbone. Here's the backbone. It consists of 33 vertebrae. بيكون من 33 فقرة, and they are very important bones that protect the spinal cord. So again, the backbone or the vertebral column,
Or the spine.
the spine, yeah, again, the spine or the vertebral column consists of 33 vertebrae, and it protects the second important organ after the brain, as we said, which is the spinal cord. هو بيحمي تاني أهم جزء في nervous system هو spinal cord, because spinal cord, as we know, controls all the reflex actions or all the reflexes we do in the involuntary actions. And also the spinal cord is the waiter, هو زي ما اتفقنا هو الجرسون that deliver all the responses from the body organ to the brain and vice versa. Okay, so now we can say that vertebral column, it consists of 33 vertebrae, and it contains cartilage between vertebrae to prevent friction during motion. Again, we have a very important give reason here, Mr. Yasser. Okay?
Yeah.
Give reason why there are cartilage. ليه في غضروف cartilage is a new word here, cartilage, between the vertebra. I think the answer will be to prevent friction during motion.
So, to put the question in a different way, what happens if there were no cartilage or there was no cartilage between
vertebra?
The vertebra of the backbone?
Okay, I think the answer will be it will cause friction of the backbone and will cause the damage of it and cause very, very harmful pain.
Yeah.
So if there is no cartilage, لو مفيش cartilage between the vertebra of the backbone, it will cause very harmful pain and cause friction.
I guess in old age, the cartilage, gets damaged.
Not all damage.
Somehow,
it
partly damaged.
Yeah, partially damaged, okay, and gets aged. بيصلحها انها بتتآكل شوية, gets friction. Partially due to the old age and due to the wrong movement or wrong standing up or wrong sitting down or wrong behaviors or canning things that exceed your ability. Okay, all these reasons can cause the friction between the vertebra and cause the partial damage of the backbone.
Okay, we've got another caller, Ahmed. Hello, Ahmed.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine.
All right, Ahmed. Yes, do you have any questions?
No, I want to answer.
I want to be asked. Okay, Ahmed wants to be asked.
Okay, Ahmed, I will ask you a very, very easy question. I said it now. Okay, Ahmed, you are ready? Okay, give reason there is a cartilage between the vertebra of the backbone.
معلش ممكن حضرتك تعيد السؤال؟
Again, Ahmed, give reason there is cartilage between H2 vertebra of the backbone. Give reason there is a cartilage.
To prevent their fraction force during
motion. During motion. Excellent, Ahmed. Very good. Okay, Ahmed, another question?
Okay.
You want to be asked in this lesson or in another lesson? Any other lesson we have studied?
Let's stick to this lesson.
This lesson?
Yeah.
Okay.
Stick to this lesson.
Okay. No. I ask you, Ahmed, in this lesson. Okay. How many vertebrae are there in the vertebral column?
33.
Okay. What is the function of the vertebral column?
Vertebral column?
Yeah, vertebral column.
ثانية واحدة.
What is the function of the vertebral column? I think it protects very important part of the nervous system.
Hello?
Yeah, Ahmed, okay, I hear you.
ممكن حضرتك تعيد السؤال بس؟
Yeah, what is the function of the vertebral column? What is the function of the vertebral column, Ahmed?
طب ثانية واحدة.
What is the function of the vertebral column? I think vertebral column protects a very important part in the nervous system, Ahmed.
الvertebral column?
أيوة. بيحمي مين يا أحمد? Protects what?
Spinal cord.
Yeah, very good, easy, Ahmed. Vertebral column protects the spinal cord, and the vertebral column has another function, Ahmed, which is the axis of the skeleton. The vertebral column is the axis of the skeleton, هو محور الجسم, that makes us or give us the ability to stand up correctly. Okay, Ahmed?
Okay. Well done, Ahmed. Thank you very much, Ahmed from Cairo. All right, let's go back.
Okay, after now we have studied two parts of the axial skeleton, Mr. Yasser, okay? We have studied the skull, we have studied the backbone, and we said that both of them is a very important organ that protects the brain and the spinal cord.
Yeah.
So we said that the skull protects the brain, the most important organ in your life, and the vertebral column protects the spinal cord, which is also another second important organ in your life. So now let's start the studying of the function of the spinal cord, as Ahmed said from a while. Ahmed said that spinal cord or backbone protects the spinal cord, and also backbone allows the body to bend in different direction. Again, backbone allows the body to bend in different directions, and it also represents the axis of the skeleton. بيمثل محور الجسم. Allow the body to bend in different direction because it's not only a bone. Okay, again, the backbone is not only a bone, but it's a collection, it's a group of bones, which is 33 vertebrae. يبقى الباكبون مش عظمة واحدة فقط، هي مجموعة عظام بنسميها backbone or vertebral column, consists of 33 vertebrae, so that it allows the body to bend in different direction. Okay, so now let's start the rib cage. Rib cage, as we know, consists of 12 pairs of ribs. The first 10 pairs are connected to the sternum or the breastbone anteriorly. Okay, Mr. Yasser?
Yeah.
Let me explain it because it's a very important note in our lesson today.
We can say that the rib cage surrounds the heart.
The heart and the two lungs, yeah, surely. Okay, also we can see that the rib cage or the rib, الضلع نفسه, start from the backbone and go around to reach the most important bone, which is called the sternum. يبقى مهم قوي نعرف.
How many ribs are they?
I have 24 ribs.
24 ribs.
Yeah. Or I have 12 pairs.
12 pairs.
Okay.
Yeah, this is very important to know, which word to use here.
Yeah, it's a common mistake. هو خطأ شائع كتير جدا. We have 12 pairs of ribs, 12 زوج من الضلوع, or 24 ribs. Or 24 ribs only. We can say 12 pairs of ribs or 24 ribs. Okay? So, where is the rib? The rib is like the arch, يعني شبه القوس. It starts from the backbone, the vertebral column, and comes around the lung and the heart and goes to the important bone, which is this bone, which is called the breastbone. بنسميها عظمة الصدر أو عظمة القص in the Arabic language, and it's called also the breastbone and the sternum. So again, all the ribs except 4 ribs of them are connected to the bone or the breastbone anteriorly. Okay, Mr. Yasser?
Yeah.
So we have 12 pairs of ribs. 10 pairs only of them are connected to the sternum or the breastbone. So why are the last 2 ribs are not connected to the sternum? Okay, Mr. Yasser? ليه آخر 2 pairs of ribs are not connected to the sternum? I have, or all of us, مش أنا بس يعني, all of us have 2 pairs of ribs that are not connected to the sternum. Why? I think it's a very easy question. To give all of us the ability to inhale and exhale or make the respiration process easily. Imagine that all your ribs are connected to the sternum. You will be like that now. You cannot move in respiration easily. So the other 2 pairs of ribs are not connected to the sternum to give you the ability to respire or to breathe easily.
Yeah.
Okay? فدي برضه حاجة مهمة جدا من نعم ربنا علينا, because we have 2 pairs of ribs and they are called floating ribs. بنسميها floating ribs أو الضلوع العائمة. Okay? Okay, so again we have 12 pairs of ribs or 24 ribs that are 10 only of them, 10 pairs of them are connected to the sternum or the breastbone. But what about the other 2 pairs of ribs? They are not connected to the sternum or not connected to the breastbone. Why? Or give reason to help you in respiration process or in exhalation and inhalation process easily.
Okay, we've got a caller, Muhammad from Alexandria. Hello, Muhammad, how are you?
How is the weather?
I'm fine.
Okay, so do you have any questions?
No, I wanted to be asked.
Everybody wants to be asked. Don't you have any questions? Okay, did you study this lesson?
No.
No.
I want to be asked in other in other lessons.
In other lessons.
Okay,
Muhammad?
Mr. Nader, ask him a question.
Okay, hello Muhammad.
Hello,
Ahmed.
Mister.
Hello, Muhammad or Ahmed? Muhammad or Ahmed?
Muhammad, yeah.
Muhammad, okay. How is the weather?
What's the weather like in Alex?
It's raining.
Really?
Raining, very cold.
Heavily? Is it raining heavily?
Yes?
Is it raining heavily? Rain too
So
much?
you must be wearing heavy. You must be wearing heavy clothes.
Okay,
Okay.
Muhammad. Okay, Muhammad. I want to ask you a very important question about the function of the brain or the structure of the brain. The brain consists of how many parts and what are they?
3.
Yeah,
They
3.
are cerebellum, medulla oblongata.
Okay, cerebellum, medulla oblongata. What is the function of cerebellum, Muhammad? Cerebellum, the second part of the brain.
It's
The function?
maintaining the balance of body during the movement.
Very good, Muhammad. Excellent. It maintains the balance of the body during motion or during movement. So what is the function of the medulla oblongata? The medulla oblongata.
It's responsible for involuntary movement and regulating heartbeat.
Okay, so medulla oblongata is responsible for all the involuntary actions or involuntary processes such as regulating heartbeats, blood circulation, and movement of the digestive system and all that we have studied, all the involuntary processes. Okay, Muhammad, I'll ask you the last question about thermometers. Okay? Okay,
Yes.
Muhammad, thermometer. What is the scale of the medical thermometer? What is the scale of the medical thermometer?
From 35 degrees to 42 degrees.
Yeah, so what is the scale of the Celsius thermometer? The last question.
It starts from 0 degrees to 100 degrees.
0 Celsius to 100 Celsius. Thank you, Muhammad, very much.
Okay, excellent, Muhammad. Thank you very much. And try to study this lesson, okay? Exams are just around the corner, as they say. Yeah, okay. So,
okay. We cannot say
carry on.
exams. We cannot say exams are the doors.
No, in English you say just around the corner.
Just around the corner. يعني امتحانات على الابواب, as you said, Mr. Yes. Okay. So again, the rib cage consists of 12 pairs of ribs. Again, 12 pairs of rib, or 24 ribs. ممكن أقول 12 pairs of ribs or 24 ribs. And also we said that only 10 pairs of ribs are connected to the sternum or the breastbone, but we have 4 ribs or 2 pairs of ribs not connected to the sternum or the breastbone. Why? Or give reason to allow you to respire easily, to respire without any sound. We can respire. Look here, Mr. Yasser, and I don't feel with this respiration. Okay? Yeah. Why? Because I have 4 ribs. I have 2 pairs of ribs.
But when we make effort, we feel our breathing.
Surely, because the heartbeats increase and the respiration times increase. Okay? So we have 10 pairs only of the ribs that are connected to the sternum or the breastbone. Okay? So now, let's study the function of the ribs. As you said, Mr. Yasser, the ribs protect the lungs and the heart. And I think all of them, the lungs and the heart, both of them are also very important organs, such as the brain and spinal cord. Again, the function of the rib cage is to protect the lungs and the heart. And also it helps in the inhalation and exhalation processes or breathing process. Okay? So again, rib cage protect organs which are very important also, such as the lungs and the heart, and also it helps in inhalation processes such as, or exhalation process such as breathing process.
So the heart looks like a bird in a cage.
Yeah, it looks like a bird in a cage, and I want to ask you a puzzle, very important, very easy puzzle. What is the cage that never birds can go to it?
The rib cage?
Yeah, so the rib cage, yeah. Okay. It is the cage which is never bird can go to it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I ask you another puzzle.
Yeah.
Why brain is wet?
The brain is wet?
Yeah.
Because it has rain in it. You
got
it from me.
Yeah, okay. The brain is wet because, as you said, Mr. Yasser, as joking as usual, because it contains rain in it. احنا عارفين كلمة brain, P-R-A-I-N. لو we omit P, لو شلنا ال P, it will contains rain. يبقى البرين جواه كلمة rain، عشان كده هو wet مبلل. طبعا هي puzzle مش science خالص يعني. Okay. So as usual, Mr. Yasser is joking with us. Okay. So again, the
it's fun to learn something by
by joking. Yeah. By joking. Okay. Okay.
Making
so
fun from time to time.
Okay. It's favorable from you, Mr. Yasser. Okay. So the function again of the rib cage is to protect the lungs and the heart, and it also helps in inhalation and exhalation processes or breathing process. Okay, so now let us talk about the appendicular skeleton. Okay, Mr. Yasser?
Yeah.
The appendicular skeleton أو الهيكل الطرفي or the limbs, الأطراف. The limbs, we have 4 limbs. Okay?
Yeah.
We have 4 limbs. Yeah. It consists of
the
bones
arms.
of Okay. It contains of bones of upper limbs and bones of the lower limbs. We have bones of the upper limbs, الأطراف العلوية, and bones of the lower limbs, الأطراف السفلية. Bones of the upper limb, which is the arms or the 2 arms. Bones of the lower limb, which are the 2 legs. So now let's study them in detail, because the structure of them is more commonly in exams in the labeling of the questions. Okay, the question of labeling. Okay, so now we'll study the upper limb. The upper limb contains or consists of 3 parts, which are the humerus bone,
the forearm,
the funny bone. Okay, the humerus bone, the forearm bones, and the hand bones. At last, look here, Mr. Yasser, I have 3 parts in my forearm, in my upper limb. الأطراف العلوية فيها 3 parts. نشوف مع بعض. the first part is the humerus. The second part, yeah, this is the first part, which is the humerus. Second part, which is the forearm bone, and they are 2 bones. هم مش عظمة واحدة، هم 2 bones, so that I can rotate them. أقدر ألفهم أو أعمل لهم rotation because they are 2 bones which are radius and ulna. يعني مش عندنا أسمائهم بس نعرفها. Okay. So again, I have forearm bone and at last the hand bone. Okay.
Okay, and we've got another caller, Basmala. Hello, Basmala.
Hello, mister.
How are you?
I am fine, thank you.
Are you ready for a question, or
Yeah.
do you have one?
No?
Okay. Did you study this lesson?
Yes.
Okay, so you are ready to answer any question. Okay, Mr. Neder, could you please ask her a question on
Okay,
this
Basmala.
lesson?
How are you, Basmala?
I am fine, thank you.
Okay, did you study the skeletal system? Skeletal
Yes.
system. Okay, what is the structure of the upper limb? What is the structure of the upper limb?
Others, they are hammer's bone,
Yeah, humerus bone.
forearm bones, and
Forearm
hand bones.
Yeah, very good. Humerus bone, forearm bone, and hand bone. So what is the structure of the lower limb? The structure of the lower limb.
They are femur bone, shaft bone, and foot
femur
bone.
bone. Femur bone, Basmala, not femur. Femur bone.
Femur bone,
yeah.
shaft bone, and
Shaft
foot bone.
and foot bone. Okay, Basmala. So what is the structure of the vertebral column? How many vertebrae are there in the vertebral column?
Vertebral column.
How many vertebrae?
33 vertebrae.
32. So what is the function of the vertebral column? It protects what? Or
Structure. It
Yeah.
consists of 33 vertebrae.
Yeah.
It contains cartilages between vertebrae to prevent their friction during motion.
Very good, Basmala. Thank you very much.
Okay, Basmala, I want to ask you
a
an easy question. Okay, where is the smallest muscle in your body?
Muscles.
smallest muscle, Basmala, not smallest bone. Smallest muscle.
The
أصغر
smallest
عضلة.
muscle. You don't know.
Yeah, it's very
My
important.
questions are more difficult than
No.
yours.
It's very important for all girls, Basmala. This muscle, especially, is very important for all girls. I think that it's found in both male and female, both boys and girls. The smallest muscle, Basmala, the smallest muscle, is very important for all girls.
Don't you wear earrings?
Okay.
Don't you wear earrings, Basmala?
Okay.
Okay, so the smallest bone
Muscle?
is
Smallest
here.
muscle, smallest
Yeah,
muscle.
The smallest muscle, sorry,
Yeah.
is here.
Is the ear loop.
Lobe,
Okay,
yeah,
so
they
is
call
the,
it lobe.
the ear lobe is the smallest muscle. هي بيسموها شحمة الأذن. That we wear earrings. Not we, you, the girls, not the boys. Okay.
Thank you, Basmala. Okay.
Okay, Mr. Yes, thank you.
My
Okay.
questions are good for you. They're gonna hate me.
No. You are a great teacher, Mr. Yes. Okay, so the upper limb again consists of 3 main parts, which are humerus bone and forearm bone, and at last the hand bone. Again, the upper limb consists of 3 main parts, which are humerus bone, forearm bone, and at last the hand bone. So now I have a very important picture, a very important image for the upper limb. الأطراف العلوية نشوف مع بعض صورة مهمة ليها. It consists of 3 main parts, which are the humerus bone, forearm bone, and at last the hand bone. So now I want to ask a very important question. How is forearm bone, or how is upper limb, all of it, is connected to the body? I think the upper limb is connected to the body by the shoulder bone. يبقى ازاي بيتصل الupper limb بالجسم كله? By the shoulder bone, or through the shoulder bone. And we have a very important bone. It's like a triangle, في عظمة مثلثة at your back, which is called the scapula. Scapula, or the shoulder bone, is the bone that connects the upper limb to the body, or to the rest of the body. So again, I have upper limb, which consists of humerus, forearm bone, and hand bone, and all of them are connected to the body by the shoulder bone. So now let's move to another point in our lesson, the function of the upper limb. ايه وظيفة الupper limb? I think I have many functions that I can do with the upper limb or with my arm. Can you guess, Mr. Yasser?
The
How many
function of
functions?
what? Of the upper limb?
Of the upper limb, the hand.
Yeah, you can do many things.
Things like writing, like praying, like eating, and we can do
like
many
hitting
things.
somebody.
Like hitting somebody, as you're joking as usual, Mr. Yasser. Okay, so we have many functions of the upper limb, like allow eating, drinking, writing, holding things, praying, not hitting somebody, please, Mr. Yasser.
Okay, hugging somebody. Don't know.
Okay, so again, we said that the function of the upper limb, the allow eating, drinking, writing, holding things, and also we said that the upper limb is connected to the shoulder bone to the body. يبقى ازاي الupper limb متصل بالجسم through or by the shoulder bone.
You can use it also to scratch your body, you know.
Scratch. Okay. Okay.
Right.
You can scratch your body by the upper limb.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have many functions of the upper limb. Now let's move to another point of our lesson today, which is the lower limb. Lower limb consists of three main parts, like the upper limb. Okay. Okay. They are femur bones, عظام الفخذ, shaft bone, عظام الساق, and at last foot bone, عظام القدم. So we have three parts of the lower limb, which are femur bone, shaft bone, foot bone. Femur bone, shaft bone, foot bone. Okay, we have femur bone, shaft bone, foot bone. Okay, so I have a very important picture, another picture for the lower limb. Look here, Mr. Yasser. The lower limb contains three main parts of bones. First, femur, this part at the upper part. Shaft bone, there are two bones also like the forearm bone. هنا في عظمتين زي بالظبط forearm bone to rotate or to make your legs rotate around yourself. And at last the foot bone. So again, I have the bones of the lower limbs contains three main parts, which are femur, shaft bones, and at last foot bone. So a very important question now here. How can lower limb are connected to the rest of the body? By a very important collection of bones, a very important group of bones, which are pelvic bones or the pelvic girdle, الحزام الحوضي أو عظام الحوض. So again, we can say that the lower limb is connected to the rest of the body by a very important bones, which are pelvic bones. Pelvic bone, عظام الحوض. So again, the pelvic bones connect the lower limb to the rest of the body. So now, what is the function of the lower limb? I think they are connected, as we said, to the pelvic bone, and they allow, can you guess, Mr. Yasser? What is the function of the lower limb?
You can play football.
Yeah, you can play football.
You can walk.
You can walk,
you can run away.
Okay, but not also hitting somebody with your leg. Okay.
You can kick somebody.
Kick somebody. Okay. So again, we have many importance or many functions of the lower limb, such as walking, running, carrying things, or carrying the rest of the body.
Yeah.
Okay. So we can see that the lower limb carry the rest of the body.
You can trip somebody so that they fall.
Trip somebody. Okay. 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 So again,
I'm violent today.
Yeah. So violent. Okay. So again, we can see that the function of the lower limb is for walking, running, carrying the rest of the body, and so on. So how is the bone of the lower limb connected to the body? We said that they are connected to the body by the pelvic bone. But
it's not bad if we say that the limbs are used for self-defense.
Yeah, okay, for self-defense, okay, it's legal. But for hitting somebody or for kicking somebody is not legal at all.
Punching somebody for self-defense as well.
Okay, self-defense, okay, not attacking.
No.
Okay, so now let's move to another important point in our lesson today, which is the joint. أو المفصل is a very important lesson today.
Yeah.
Okay, joint, you know joint, Mr. Yasser?
Yes.
We have many joints. Imagine that we have no joints in our body. Imagine that. We cannot move. If all the bones of our body are fused, are melted together, we cannot move because we have joint. So what's meant by joint is the location at which bones meet each other.
Okay, so we've got a caller. We have Mohammed Semah from Giza. Hello, Mohammed.
Hello, mister.
How are you?
I'm fine, thanks.
So, tell me, we've just been talking about the joint. So, do you know what is a joint?
Yes, it is a location between two bones when meet each other.
Yeah.
That's great.
Surely, great,
Okay.
Muhammad.
Do you have any questions?
No, I want to be asked.
Everybody wants to be asked. Okay. Mr. Nader.
Okay. Okay, Muhammad. How many types of joint do we have? How many types of joint do we have?
Joints?
Yeah. What are the type of joints?
3 types.
Yeah, 3 types. Very good, Muhammad. Okay, excellent. What are they?
Joints,
Immovable.
slightly movable joints,
Slightly movable joint, and the last one, which
freely
is
movable joints.
very good, excellent, Muhammad. Can you give me one example of each one of them? One example.
I can add another joint, but not here, not now.
Muhammad, explain the rest of the lesson. Okay.
Sorry?
Yeah. Can you give me an example of each one of joints?
Okay.
Yeah.
Immovable such as the joint in skull.
Yeah. We have only one example of the immovable joint, which is the skull. Very good, Muhammad. And the slightly movable joint?
Such as knee and elbow.
Knee and elbow. Very good. الركبة والكوع. Okay.
Freely
movable joint.
wrist bone.
Wrist bone and what else? Femur bones. And also the shoulder bone or the shoulder joint.
Yes.
Very good, excellent, Muhammad. You explained all the joints today.
Okay.
Thank you, Muhammad.
Yeah, Muhammad, I want to ask you about how many bones does your body contain? All in all, how many are they? Sorry?
650.
650?
No.
Not
206, Muhammad. But this information is
200?
not included in our syllabus, Mr. Yasser.
It's not included?
Yeah.
Okay. What about the biggest muscle in your body? Where is it?
It is in
At the bottom of your body.
at the lower part of our body.
Yeah, that's
the bottom.
that's
So what
correct,
about the smallest muscle, Muhammad?
It is in the ear.
The ear lobe. Yes, you're right, Muhammad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where exactly? Can you show it to us?
No.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Muhammad Sameh from Giza. Okay.
Okay, so Muhammad explained all the joints today in this short question.
Yeah.
Muhammad, I think, is a very excellent pupil that know all about the joints. The joint is the location or the position at which bones meet each other. And we have 3 types of joints, which are immovable joint, slightly movable joint, and at last freely movable joint. Okay.
Not
so
four.
now,
Not for
3 joints, Mr. Yasser only. Okay. So again, joint is the location at which bones meet each other. Again, joint is the location at which bones meet each other. And also we have many important functions for the joint in that allow the movement between bones. So without joint we cannot move, but with the joint we can move. So the function of the joint is allowing the movement between bones or allowing the movement for the body. So now, what are the types of joints? What are the type of joint as Muhammad said? Okay, we have 3 types: immovable joint, مفصل غير متحرك; slightly movable joint, مفصل محدود الحركة or limited movable joint. Yeah, slightly. Freely movable joint or widely movable joint, that is مفصل واسع الحركة. So now let's have some examples. Examples or definitions for each one of them. Okay, immovable joint, they don't allow any movement. ما بيسمحش بأي حركة على الإطلاق because the bones are fused together like the bones of your skull. We cannot move the bone of our skull. There are joints in our skull, but we cannot move them. Yeah. Why? Because when we were baby, the skull or the skull bones cannot grow or grow fully.
But when isn't this part a bone here, so we can move it, and it's part of the skull?
No, it's not a part of a skull. The skull is without this part. Okay.
The skull is without this part.
The lower jaw, الفك السفلي, is not a part of the skull. The skull, as we said at the first of this episode, contains cavities for what? You remember? For eyes, ears, and nose.
So
not
this
the mouth.
Not part of the skull.
The mouth is not a part of the skull. Yeah, the chin or the lower jaw, الفك السفلي, or the upper jaw is not a part of the skull. The skull contains some bones and have many joints which are immovable joints, مفصل غير متحرك. So we cannot move the skull. I cannot open your skull. You cannot open my skull.
I can.
Okay, by the joint safely. You cannot open it safely. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
You are so violent today, Mr. Yasser. Okay. So again, we have the first type of joint, which is immovable joint, and they don't allow movement at all. And we also have one example of them, such as the joint between the skull. Joint between the skull is the joint which is not, or which cannot move at all. So what about the other type, which is the slightly movable joint or limited movable joint? Okay,
yeah.
I think they allow movement in one direction only. Look here, Mr. Yasser, I have an elbow. هشرح عليها أنا شخصيا. Look here, the elbow here, I can move it to this direction. I cannot move this part, the forearm bone, to the lower direction. Why? Because the joint here, the elbow joint,
not that flexible.
yeah, is limited movable joint.
But some people can actually. Some people can do very complicated movements. All right,
okay.
Let's first take the skull. We've got Mustafa on the phone. Hello, Mustafa.
Hello, Sekmet.
How are you?
I am fine, thank you.
Okay. You want to be asked?
I have a question.
You have a question. Finally,
Okay.
somebody has got a question. Okay. Yes.
Give reason.
Give reason, Mustafa.
Lower limbs are important to the body.
Lower limbs
Limbs important to
are
the body.
important
To the body.
to the body. Okay, Mustafa. I think the answer will be easy because they allow the body to walk, to move, to carry the rest of the body, and so many functions. Okay, so we can write that because.
Okay. Do you have? Let's first take your questions. Do you have any more?
Yes.
Okay. Give us your question.
Upper limbs are important to the body.
The
Another
upper
question?
limbs.
Give reason question again, Muhammad.
The upper limbs are important
Upper
to the body.
The upper limbs.
Are important to the body.
The
Yes.
upper.
Okay. Any more questions?
No.
All right.
Are-
Thank you,
Thanks.
Mustafa. Just follow us now. Mr. Nader is going to answer your questions.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, Mustafa, you said that upper limb and lower limb, both of them are very important for the body. So we want to hear the function of each one of them. The lower limb, الأطراف السفلية, and the upper limb, الأطراف العلوية. What are their functions and what are their importances? So let's start with your second question about the upper limb are very important for the body. So we can say that because they allow writing, allow eating, allow drinking, and allow praying, and allow anything you want to do with your arm. So the upper limb are very important because I need them in eating, writing, drinking, praying, and so many important functions. Let me write this, Mr. Yasser, okay?
Yeah.
To allow نكتب مع بعض. To allow drinking, writing, eating, and so on. Okay? So what about the second question or the first question of yours, Muhammad or Mustafa?
Mustafa,
okay?
yeah.
Okay, the first question says that give reason lower limb are very important for the body. Our lower limb has many functions for the body. I think we can say that because they allow the lower limb allow running, walking, and also a very important
And
function.
they carry the body.
Yeah, they carry the rest of the body. Yes, surely, Mr. Yasser.
So
And
we have
also they carry.
they make a big effort,
Yeah, they carry the rest of the body. Okay, so again, the lower limbs are very important to our body because they allow movement or allow running, walking, and also they carry the rest of the body. They carry the rest of the body. Okay.
Yeah.
So now let's return back to our lesson.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a slightly mobile joint like the joints that can move in only one direction, like the elbow joint. I can move this elbow joint to the upper direction, not the lower direction, because it's a slightly movable joint. And also we have the knee joint, مفصل الركبة, also is like the same, but opposite in direction. Okay, we can move the knee joint toward or backwards, not towards. Okay, so again, the limited movable joint or the slightly movable joint are the joints that allow movement only in one direction, and we have two examples in our body, such as the knee joint and the elbow joint. So again, slightly movable joint are, or they allow the movement in one direction only. Examples like the knee joint and the elbow joint. The knee joint and the elbow joint. Okay.
What about the shoulder? I guess
shoulder is a widely movable joint. Yeah, I can move the shoulder in all directions. But here, look here, Mr. Yasser. This is the knee joint. هو ده مفصل الركبة. The knee joint, مفصل الركبة. I can move it only in one direction, backwards only. Why? Because I have a very important part in this joint which is called patella. معناها مش منهجنا بس نقولها. في عظمة مهمة جدا بنسميها patella. patella اللي بتمنع ان الني joint can move upward or can move forward.
Is it
patella?
Is it eatable?
No.
Edible? Not
it's
edible?
It's a bone.
It's a bone.
Yeah, it's a bone.
Yeah.
Okay, you can eat bone. You like to eat bones?
Well, sometimes yes, I crack them.
Crack bones. Okay. You today you seem very violent, Mr. Yes. You eat bone till this point?
Yeah, when I eat chicken, I like to crack the bones of chicken. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So here we have the slightly mobile joints such as the knee joint and the elbow joint. They are slightly mobile joint only. Also the last one of the joint is the freely mobile joint. مفصل واسع الحركة أو هنسميه widely mobile joint. It allows the movement in all directions. They allow movement in all directions. بيسمح الحركة في كل الاتجاهات. Such as the wrist joint. Here I have a picture, Mr. Yasser. Look here. For the thigh joint or hip joint, مفصل الفخذ, or femur joint, thigh joint or hip joint, or another name, femur joint. It allows the movement in all directions. Why? Because it's a freely or widely movable joint. So here, shoulder joint, and also thigh or hip joint allow the movement in all directions. Okay. Also, I have the wrist joint. Look here, the wrist joint. I can move it. هشرحها نفسي. ممكن أحرك the wrist joint towards, backward, to the right, to the left. I can move it in all directions. So, what is the name of this joint? What is the type of this joint? I think it's a widely movable joint. Or
so why do we feel tired when we, rest our body for a long time?
Yeah.
Why do we feel tired? It should be at rest. It should be resting. So.
Should be resting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, you answer this question next time because we're running out of time. So I'd like to thank you very much, Mr. Nader Nassim, for being with us and for your beautiful explanation of the lesson. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So that brings us to the end of this episode. Dear students of the 6th elementary grade, remember we've had lesson 2, the locomotory system, and inshallah we'll be carrying on with this lesson on our next episode. ما تنسوش معادكم يوميا من الساعة 4 للساعة 5 وإعادة الحلقات بتكون الساعة 5 صباحا بكرة إن شاء الله. معادكم مع مادة رياضة عربي، وكمان تقدروا تنضموا لجروب برنامجنا على الفيسبوك مدرسة على الهواء ابتدائي وإعدادي، ده اسم الجروب. I hope you've had fun with us and I hope you've benefited from this episode, and until we meet you again next week inshallah, it's goodbye.